What collection did you have as a child that would have been worth a fortune now had your parents not thrown it away? My brother had a bunch of first. Not any monetary value. But my dad got rid of my entire Lego collection when I was in the Navy. My sister is pregnant with her first child and mentioned she wished we still had my enormous Lego collection for him, her son. It may not have been worth a fortune, but it meant something to us. I had the complete collection of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures. I packed him into a box and put him away, then later when looking for them I couldn't find them. Asked my mother, "Oh, those. I threw them out. You weren't playing with him anymore." I had a huge collection of Magic the Gathering cards, all in mint condition, dating back all the way to Alpha, that I collected as a young kid. My psycho mom decided that I had too much stuff that I enjoyed and threw out my collection and a bunch of other stuff. I never technically owned it, but I got to see it once. My grandfather's comic book collection. He would be 92 if still alive. It's in a chest in the original family home, inherited by a hoarder who will probably lose it all someday. Honestly, better than that is the huge luggage trunks the family brought to the States when moving from Czechoslovakia in the 1800s. They're in the same attic. South African coin collection that my older sister threw away without consulting anyone. Geez. After my mom died, my dad met this crazy Jehovah's Witness bitch, and one thing led to another. About a month before my high school graduation we got into a huge fight over something and she burned my collection of old D&D books and magic cards. Complete collections. Every first. About 40 Indian arrowheads collected on my grandparents' farm for years by myself and my grandfather, and full sets of baseball cards from 1969 to 1980. My mom decided to toss out all that junk when I moved out for military. Nearly all of the first 24. My mom had a collection of signed Beatles records that she threw away after she converted to Christianity because played backwards they summoned the devil or something. For years I was hoping to inherit it when I grew up. All I think it summoned was poverty. Lots of original Star Wars toys. They wouldn't be definitely used, but still. My G.I. Joes, Transformers and He-Men, plus a bunch of Star Wars stuff. I don't know if they would be worth a fortune, but it wouldn't be small potatoes. I had every single Beyblade released in the US until I went to college and my mom gave them away to a worthy cause. Turns out she dumped them in the trash. The man who drives the garbage van told me about them and asked me if he could take them home for his kid. I agreed anyway. All these responses are the reasons I keep all my son's stuff. He was a 90s kid. I have a big house with no one in it, so I have the storage room. And I figure, why not? If it can earn me a few brownie points for being the parent who didn't throw out all her child's possibly valuable stuff, I'm in. I have virtually nothing from my own childhood for various financial reasons. And my husband was one of those who always bemoaned the loss of various childhood things that were thrown out by his mom. So I think it's important to not stack up one more card against myself by being that mom. Whenever he's ready, I have all of his video game systems with all of their games and boxes. Pokemon cards, which are really mine now. Hey Hey, Street Sharks, Power Rangers, Superhuman Samurai, Beetleborg, Dragon Ball Z, and Star Wars, Star Trek stuff. Okay, admittedly I'm really attached to these things. But if he wants them one day, they're his. Magic the Gathering cards. That Black Lotus and pretty much a lot of banned cards would be gold by now. I had this book my dad gave me as a child. It was my absolute favorite book and got lost somewhere in our various moves, which devastated me. My brother very thoughtfully went to buy it a couple years ago as a replacement, and it turned out it was a limited copy, no longer in print and worth a bloody fortune. Needless to say, he didn't buy it. But it's on my bucket list to get a copy. I just googled it again and looks like there's a couple copies available and much more affordable than they were a couple years ago. Maybe my dream will come true sooner than later. Asterisk update asterisk there is no way I'm going to find an original copy of this book. My copy was called House by Mouse by George Mendoza until that a different version was released, called Need a House, Colmer's Mouse, which has different text for anyone interested. Here's a great article about it that basically sums up how I felt about the book and has some pictures as well. I know it's just a silly kid's book, but I loved it. House by Mouse. https slate.com/human-interest/09/animal-architecture-in-the-mendoza-s-out-of-print-children. S-book Need a House Colmer's Mouse HTML. Not quite the same thing. But in 1997 I asked my parents to reinvest some money that was set aside for us by my grandfather, about $8,000 after tax, into Apple stock. They were correct to tell me no, but I never quite put the thought away. If they did and were smart enough that we kept it, not counting reinvested dividends, we'd have 349,127 shares today. At the current share price, $98,453,865. How my life could be different if my parents threw sanity to the wind and listened to their middle school-age son about what he learned in class. I had over 1,500 Pokemon cards and I gave them to my little cousin because he had a short-lived Pokemon phase, and now I'm wondering how much it was really worth. I remember when State Quarters first came out, my father sent me a collection of every first. My mass hoard of little pet shops, I miss them all. Oh, and I had collectible model horses apparently. I still have 2 that I looked on eBay to be selling in the hundreds, but I used to have 6, so darn. I had mined 8 Bitcoins at age 16. Kept them in a hard disk. When they grew in value I searched for an hard disk, and now that my mom sold it to a 19 years old for $50. I still curse my mom for doing that. Stamps. When I was around 7 I used to stay at this friend of my parents' house. She was older, and sort of a substitute grandmother. Her mother lived with her. She used to collect stamps. When she passed away the subby gran gave me the collection. My oldest brother had him in his room. I can't remember why. My parents used to make a big pile in the middle of our rooms of what was messy, and we had a couple of hours to put it all away. My brother faffed about and didn't do it, so the remaining pile was thrown out. In that pile was the collection of stamps. To this day I believe that there would have been valuable stamps in that collection considering the age of the collection, but I'll never know. Barbies. My family wasn't super well off growing up. but for some reason they allowed my sibling and I to amass dozens of Barbies, hundreds of clothes, 2 doll houses, 3 cars, 1 RV, a plane, and so fucking much else besides. When I was 12 and had outgrown it all, my dad decided it was time to pass them on to younger cousins or otherwise get rid of them. Looking back, we should have held on to most of it. I had celebrity Barbies, anniversary Barbies, Barbies that came with horses, or were ballerinas, or were otherwise novel in the Barbie world. I literally spent 10 years collecting Barbies and now don't even have a single shoe to show for it. It certainly wouldn't be worth a fortune. But I had all 6 of the Hercules plates McDonald's was giving out during the movie release. I was so proud of my collection and I ate dinner on one of those plates almost every day of the week. Of course I grew out of them, and probably let my mom throw them away. But I wish I had them now. My husband still has all of his pogs, like a chest full of them. Please someone tell me they are worth something. I actually still collect those smushed pennies you can make from a crank machine at tourist attractions. I'm very proud of my original World Trade Center smushed penny. I was in the Trade Center 2 weeks before 9/11 happened. It scares me to think about how unlucky those tourists were that day. Not sure how much it would go for, but that penny is probably worth more than 1 cent. My friend recently told me he was going to get rid of his Magic the Gathering cards. Not throw them away, but just get rid of them in a bulk sale. His reasoning was that he spends too much time on building decks rather than getting to stuff that needs to get done around the house and work. I told him to bring them over and I would hold on to them until his 1-year-old son is able to play Magic with him. A couple weeks later, he brought over all his decks and loose cards in a small box. I wrapped them up and wrote his son's name on the box. I figure I hold on to them for about 11 years. I think 12 is about the right age for him to comprehend the difference between an instance versus an interrupt and how stacking spells work. I had a 32-gallon plastic tote full to the top with Legos from years of birthdays and Christmas stock, but due to my father's many divorces they have been lost to time. I still dream about him to this day. Breyer horses and dog My Little Pony toys. As a horse girl, they were my favorite things. I would get my whole herd out every day and make them fight little horse wars in the hallway. One day, an adult trying to get to the bathroom stepped right into the heart of the infamously bloody Battle of Bridal Creek, and my dear Palomino warrior Queen Sundance was crushed underfoot. Broken legs, an injury that no horse royal can recover from. Also, my stepdad was mad about it and packed all of my horses up for the Goodwill glue factory. Still mad. Lots of Nintendo stuff basically thrown away when they took it to Goodwill. First, my original Beyballs. The ones that will cut your hands if you pick it up. Also my Pokémon Yellow Game IDIDNT Open. The original Transformers in boxes. Had all main characters and nearly all of the smaller bots. Got them when I was 11. 12 or so in the mid-80s. Left for the military and mom had a huge garage sale. None. For some unknowable reason, my incredibly abusive parents kept everything. It's like underneath all the rage was love they couldn't find a way to express. My hopes and dreams. Approximately 20 kilograms of Lego bricks and accessories. The Blue Railway alone would be a fortune today. My mother gave them away and couldn't remember to whom. Technically a felony. Person shrugging. Medium light skin tone. Male sign. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.